you can endure anyhow with a strong enough why. My why was, and like this could happen to me. There's no reason why I should expect to be healthy.
I think that can shift. Sometimes it doesn't have to take something super negative to shift someone's mindset to be like, I got to go faster.
Pressure either makes diamonds or it bursts pipes. And so a lot of people are listening right now and they're in one of two camps if they're not moving forward. My 3-step process with any new endeavor that I do is find someone who's done the thing I'm trying to do, work with them to understand
the idea of looking at someone walking down the street and just, I want to know how they reach their level of success, dude.
There isn't a single billionaire in the world who wouldn't trade me for like my life and health right now. I'm 33 years old.
Gideon, officially welcome to the Wealth Juice podcast. Corey and I are stoked to have you on the show, man. We run in the same circles. It's funny, we've been kind of following each other for a long time, realized we were in a few masterminds together. And then we were each referred to each other by one of our good friends. We're like, why haven't we done this sooner? So I'm excited to have you here, man. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here.
Dude, thanks for having me. I'm super stoked. Yeah, I feel like y'all's names keeps coming up. It's nice to finally sit down and get to chat through some things.
Yeah, man, we can't wait. It's funny. I love this game. You realize as you kind of keep tracking forward, it's a small industry, small niche. And so everybody seems to know everybody, which is great. So glad to meet you. Glad to have you here. And I think today we're going to kind of give a mini masterclass on boutique hotel investing and just kind of talk about your story. But let's dial it back to maybe pre-real estate and talk about your tech days. And then when the light bulb went off in your head to say, hey, listen, like real estate is something that I can see myself doing in the future.
Yeah. So my background is I got my degree in mechanical engineering, pretty quickly knew that I didn't want to do that forever. So I started diving into business development and startups and tech and things like that. So I did a lot of consulting work and leading tech teams to build products and release them to market and everything else. And my wife and I were both from San Antonio, Texas, but neither of us, we don't live there anymore. And so we wanted a place to stay when we were in town for the holidays. And so we wanted to grab a spot that we could convert into a short-term rental so we'd have that flexibility and it'd be an investment and just check a lot of the boxes to get the economies of scale. So my background in tech, I'm constantly thinking like, how do we scale up and get better efficiencies and just grow quickly? We went ahead and bought a 4-plex because economies of scale, more doors under one roof. If there's a tenant that's out, it's much more efficient and smoother and everything else. So we got the 4-plex, we moved into one of the units, and I was more focused on compressing as much learning into the renovation process as possible. So first unit, I did the renovations myself. The second unit, because I had zero background in real estate and I didn't want to get ripped off by subcontractors and stuff like that. So first unit did everything myself. Second unit did some stuff myself, but subcontracted a lot of the work out. Third unit did some stuff myself, subcontracted out and worked with GCs. And then the fourth unit exclusively worked with GCs. So I was just getting as much learning as possible at each stage of the process. From there, explored back to learning as much as possible, short-term rentals and mid-term rentals, and played with both of those models and found that with the short-term rental model, I mean, the numbers were just ripping. The property was ripping. It was doing super well. We bought it in an area that was really close to one of the most popular areas in San Antonio, as well as near a bunch of universities and hospitals, near one of the largest military bases in Texas. So we had like plans A, B, and C to just like compress as much learning as possible. From there, the numbers were doing so well, and my wife got super sick, which is something else that we could dive into, but it made me realize like life is short. I need to scale quickly and go aggressively on this thing so that if anything happens to me, she's taken care of and everything else. And so then set my sights on boutique hotels. And we ended up buying a 24-unit boutique hotel in Solvang, California. It's Central California, wine country. We bought a duplex with it, which added some complexity to the deal that we can dive into if you guys want. And the rest is history. So now I've got my sights set on another boutique hotel this year that I'd like to tie up, and just ripping, man.
Love it, man. I think diving into something that's like seems that daunting at first is just a wild way to get into real estate, right? Like you made the first move, you bought the quadplex, but to go from that to a 24 unit is like some people can't even fathom doing that. So I'm very curious about one, if you're willing to share the mindset shift of like your wife getting sick. We haven't talked a lot before this, so I assume she's better now, or just fill us in on that and like what that looks like, because I think that can shift sometimes it doesn't have to take something super negative to shift someone's mindset to be like, I got to go faster. They could learn it on a podcast, right? But I'm curious about how that transition worked for you.
Yeah, so I'll break it up into a couple components. So the first thing that I'll say is the only reason I bought a fourplex first was because I was never even planning to get into the game. Like the fourplex is what made me realize like, oh shit, like there's a lot of opportunity in this space. We have 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. They own 25% of small businesses. There's a massive opportunity, a massive wave. You add the Airbnb and short-term rental regulations that are cracking down. You have a lot of people who built up sizable portfolios in Airbnb that are now shifting their focus to boutique hotels. So there's a massive wave of opportunity. The only reason that fourplex was a stepping stone was because I didn't even know that this opportunity was there, because there's so much opportunity everywhere. So that's the first thing I'll say is don't think you even need to get a fourplex first. Like you can just go straight to the thing. The second thing is you can hedge the downside risk and still maintain the upside reward by joining communities, working with mentors, working with experts, right? So if I wanted to get straight into boutique hotels, and this is what I did when I transitioned into boutique hotels, I was aggressively looking for deals and finding people who had done the thing that I was trying to do and worked with them to align incentives in a way to where we could bring them on board to hedge that downside risk while maintaining the upside reward. You asked about mindset specifically. I am always in the aggressive growth mindset. Like I don't think the mindset shifted for me so much as like the mindset for scaling didn't shift for me. What shifted for me when my wife got sick was the realization that life is finite. Just to give a quick 30-second of what happened with her. So she ended up getting COVID. That evolved into long COVID, and her health was declining rapidly to the point where she was bedridden for 3 months straight. Doctors didn't know what was going on. We took her to like 7 different doctors. They ran every test they could think of. Everything came back normal. And it was one of the most stressful periods of my life where I thought she could go, just like holding her at night. She's crying, I'm crying. We don't know what to do. And just having to have that conversation with God of saying like, yo, this is up to you, bro. Like I can't do anything. There's literally nothing else that I can do. And just having to surrender to that moment was massive for me. Within that 6-month period, we were closing on the fourplex, which like that was a whole other fiasco because the seller was a nightmare. My dad ended up needing a heart transplant. So he was in the hospital for 4 months and they're like, he's not going to make it. And then they were like, oh, he might make it if we find him a heart. And then he's not well enough. So he's not going to make it. We're not even going to try it. And just that roller coaster. My mom also within that 6-month period got a form of liver cancer that only has a 20% survival rate. And so literally all this was going on at the same time. And that level of stress, it's actually a beautiful thing because you end up in a place in life where you can only ask yourself questions that you ask yourself questions that you can only ask yourself when you're in those pits, right? And then like getting to get those nuggets of wisdom and then bring them back to other people who haven't experienced them and like give them the heuristics, the shortcuts on how to get there. And so the shortcut that I got to that everybody talks about, but I actually experienced it, was how finite life was. And so with that, I thought, okay, if I buy a hotel, my wife is bedridden and she's better now by God's grace, but she wasn't better at the time. We didn't know what would happen. I thought if she's bedridden and she can't work, I need to get a hold of a nest egg that'll at least make her $1 million over the next 10 years. So that was my goal. I want $1 million over the next 10 years. Now it's something that I can secure within the next 6 to 12 months. So that's part of, like, there's that expression, you can endure anyhow with a strong enough why. My why was, and like, this could happen to me. There's no reason why I should expect to be healthy into the foreseeable future. I need to move as quickly to getting a hotel as possible so that she can build up that equity, that cash flow, and get $1 million over the next 10 years. So that was my goal of, so that's like the mindset shift that I'll comment on, but I'm obsessively always thinking about like, how do I scale quickly and grow? And it was the aligning of those two things that resulted in that.
Yeah, I think that, well, I'm sorry you had to go through all that. It sounds like you've, at some level come out on the other side. I think that what it probably did for you is created a moment of clarity and prioritization, right? Like, do the emails matter, or do the
Right.
the things that the
Yeah.
text messages that are missed matter? Does any of that stuff really matter? What matters is like when when you put finances on such a pedestal, but if you don't have your health, none of that really matters. So like getting
Right.
your health in order, and that's a huge thing. And then obviously finances kind of go hand in hand. So I commend you for being able to go through that. I want to talk about the transition here of like maybe the how to of you bought the fourplex. We teach people how to buy their first and next rental property. So we know how to go through that process. Ryan and I have bought larger deals as general partners, but I'm curious on like what you looked for to get to the 24 unit. Like how did you even know that this was the next thing? Is underwriting different? Like what are putting offers like? I'm asking a lot of like detailed questions, but just
No,
like talk to me
I
through
like it.
that process. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I liked it. And I'll definitely dive in. Right before, though, I want to highlight something that's important with that previous segment, which is like pressure either makes diamonds or it bursts pipes. And so a lot of people are listening right now and they're in one of two camps if they're not moving forward. They're in the camp of there's too much going on right now. I can't handle it. They're under a lot of pressure, and their disposition towards that pressure is what's causing the burst pipe. And if they shift their perspective, there's a beautiful opportunity that they're in to create a diamond. And that opportunity of high pressure that they're in is needed to create that diamond. So it's literally just a disposition towards it. The second is some people don't have pressure on them. And so they don't even have the opportunity to become a diamond. And so if you're listening to this and you're just fearful and you have analysis paralysis and you're not moving forward, then taking the leap and committing to something and getting dialed and aggressive and meeting people and looking for deals and getting out there and taking a risk, now you're creating the opportunity to create a diamond and do something special. So that analysis paralysis, I mean, that can be paralyzing and can be just as damaging as a burst pipe. And I would even think of it as worse than a burst pipe because you never even had the opportunity to build that pressure anyway. But to answer your question, so what was I looking for? So I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know a single person in hospitality. I didn't know a single person who owned a hotel. I didn't know a single person in commercial real estate at all. I literally knew zero people. All I knew was that I had a fourplex that was fucking ripping. And I was like, yo, I want to do this 10 times bigger. Because if I add a zero to all of the numbers I'm looking at, that's a really juicy gig. And so I reached out to everybody that I knew who might have known somebody. So I was asking people like, hey, do you know anybody who does boutique hotels? They were sending stuff over and I was setting up calls with people. I was reading books obsessively. I read through 12 books within a 3-month period, just like ravenous to understand like what does commercial real estate actually look like. As I was climbing this mountain, I really early on realized that the mountain's actually not that big. Right? Like commercial real estate seems like this big daunting, like, oh shit, single family homes are easier. They're not easier. Like they're more bite size, but buying 24 single family homes is significantly more work than buying a 24 unit apartment complex. And so, yeah, I got really close. My 3-step process with any new endeavor that I do is find someone who's done the thing I'm trying to do, work with them to understand like what they're looking for. And then number 3, find something that aligns incentives such that they want to hop on board with me. So join a community, met people who had done the thing that I was trying to do, people who my dreams were their realities. And I talked to them, hey, what types of deals are you looking for? Because I'm out hunting for deals. And if I find one that makes sense for you, then I'll bring it to you, right? So aligning those incentives. I never called anybody and said, hey, can I pick your brain over coffee? Nobody whose brain's worth picking wants to have it picked over coffee. You need to find a way to add value to them, which is another reason why podcasts are so great. Having people on and just like, hey, I want to chat with you for an hour. And then what I'm going to offer you as attention is fantastic. So you guys are crushing on the podcast game. I found a lot of value in my podcast as well, having like people in hospitality and asking them questions. From there, I would go out and hunt for deals. Any deals that met the criteria, I would bring it to the experts and I'd say, hey, what do you think about this deal? They'd critique it. And as they critiqued it, I was learning about the critiques I should provide until eventually we found a hotel that checked all of the boxes. My 2 partners and I, we were able to bring on an expert who had an insane track record over the last 30 years, had 13 hotels himself. And so, yeah, and aligned incentives brought him on board and the rest is history.
Everyone needs to listen to that back from what Gideon just said. You just provided the blueprint and the cheat code that will allow you to get to your goals. Find the people that are doing the thing, and then go attach yourself to them in some form. That could be A, providing value to them. That could be B, paying them for mentorship. And I think people don't realize how easy it is in 2025 to do what you're looking to do. I'm not suggesting that the path is going to be a very easy path to get there, but in order to get yourself in front of those people that are doing that thing, it's never been easier. Literally in the history of time, forever, it's never been easier to find those people. So for you to be able to do that and just spell it out for people, and then you found this 24 unit, you have the thing that you're looking for. You're on the way to doing more. I just think people need to listen to that back. And Ryan, I know I'm kind of stealing the whole show here. So you look like you're jumping at the bit. Is that the phrase? Chomping at the bit. So go ahead. I know
I'm chomping over here. Yeah, dude, you got me. No, Gideon's just dropping bombs. I love it. So, dude, I once again agree with Corey's sentiment. Gem after gem here, and just like these little bite-sized how-tos for people to attack the thing is what we're looking for. And so can you talk to, we hear the mantra of like provide value, right? And just like, it's hard for people to frame this and say, okay, listen, I understand. Like I finally got myself in the room with these people, but now it's looking up at the mountain or like the king of the hill and saying like, how do I possibly help this person? So for you guys, you know, you got the mentor, you got around the right people. And then what did you do to provide value to make sure we can offer personally, like Corey and I, we can offer the podcast, right? Similar to you, I know you have the podcast. You can, you know, put them on a pedestal, amplify their story, get people to go into their community. But was there anything else you did to kind of, I don't know, get yourself up that ladder to say, hey, I'm getting over here. I'm looking for help, but I also, you know, I want to stay close to you because you've done things the right way?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And this is a very fundamental step that a lot of people make the mistake on. So the best thing that anyone can do is active listening. So active listening is you're listening, but you're asking questions to better understand them, to dive deeper into their story, why they're doing it, what they're doing it, how they're thinking about it, what their problems are. And that's part of why a podcast is one of the best things that you can do, is because you're sitting down with someone for an hour, listening to their story, diving in, listening closely to them, and identifying where you can add value. And I want to highlight this. This is really, really, really important. Listen closely to the mentor to identify where you can add value, and then add value to them without them even asking. Don't sit there and say, oh, I'm willing to work for you for free, because now you're giving them a job to do. Now you're asking them to put on their HR hat. Of course, there's a million things that they could use help with, and now they have to interview you to see where you can fit into their lives. Don't do that. Listen closely to them, understand what they're looking for, and add value to them without them even asking. So what I did was, I was setting up conversations with everybody in the community just to get to know them, hear their story, build genuine rapport with them, and listen closely to what their pain points were. And then from there, I understood my skill set. I understood what I was going for and what I felt like I could bring to them. Now I knew, okay, Neil, who's the expert that we ended up bringing on board, he is looking for a 20 to 50 unit hotel that is anywhere from $2 to $10 million, and he wants it to be in a high traffic area. He's also an older gentleman who doesn't want to do a lot of the legwork, boots on the ground. So I know I can provide boots on the ground. My partners can provide boots on the ground. And he is also just a fantastic person that I built genuine rapport with. Like, he's a very close friend of mine now, the hotel deal aside, where now, like, I understand what he's looking for. So then my partners and I, we went out and we were looking for deals, and we would bring them back to him, filling the need that he actually have. I never once asked him, hey, how can I work for you for free? What value can I provide to you? I just listened closely and then took the initiative to provide that value.
I love it, man. Three things I want to highlight here are two things, just real world examples. So all the time, you know, as content creators, influencers, whatever you want to call us, right? Like all of us in this room, podcasters, if you will, right? We kind of go do the do, right? Like we have a skill set, and we are attacking real estate. We are buying real estate. We are building communities, all of these things, right? And one thing you continually see is content's getting pushed out, right? So all the time we need fresh content, meaning an editor to put things together on the back end. A lot of times we're just going out doing things, and to consolidate this and make it look pretty on social media, you need an editor. So we get DMs all the time saying, hey, listen, we'd love to edit videos for you. Or, hey, you guys, you do a great job at this, but you're lacking in this. And people they're trying to leak their way into your business. But what we found is the people we've actually given the time of day to are the people that said, hey, listen, saw you put out a lot of content. I've actually made 5 edits for you, 5 reels. What do you guys think? Take a look. They listened. They understood that we needed this on a daily basis. We were going to use someone, right? And not only just asking to hop on our calendar or get us coffee or have a conversation to see what we need. They just took a shot and they put 5 things together. You know what? Those are the people that I'm going to have a conversation with and potentially let into my business or let into my personal circle, because they went and actively listened and then they provided that value on what I need. Another thing is, we talk about all the time, like, we are all searching for deals. You just gave a perfect example. The one skill set I tell people that they need to get good at in order to provide value is just to become an expert deal finder. It's so tedious to analyze deals and search the market and then build relationships with people and try to find off-market deals. And it's a continual thing that you need to do, but you need lead inflow. I tell people, hey, go get really good at finding deals. The people that then listen to that, go get great at finding deals and send you deals, those are the people you're going to stick around. And those are the people that you're going to let in and say, hey, listen, you just gave me 3 deals on a silver platter for me to analyze in my community or send to my people and analyze it ourselves and potentially buy this thing. So those are 2 little things from a content perspective, but then also from a real estate investing perspective. If you can get good at those 2 things, those are continuous things that we need. It's lead generation and content creation and output. So I just want to put that into the atmosphere for people listening. Those are 2 examples of people that you are listening to right now that we, like, all 3 of us in this room, are doing the same thing on a daily basis. We're looking for deals. We're buying deals. We are making content and trying to get creative and build our communities. Those are things that you can provide value to us with. Now, there's a million other things too, but just to give you like a read between the lines moment, take a listen to this episode back and kind of go through Gideon's like 5 points that he mentioned earlier. But that's how to provide active value. And it's not saying, hey, I think I have something for you, and then like having us, kind of do ring around the rosy and try to figure it out. It's delivering it on the silver platter and saying, here, I got this for you. I did this for you. Those, you're going to skip the line. It's a free skip the line pass, and you kind of get to the head of the beast. So I appreciate you bringing that up. It's huge. Corey, did you have something?
Yeah, I got one here. So I think that's a great point, right? I want to talk to Gideon now about like the fundamentals of hotels and why you like them. Like, let's talk about why you feel like they make sense from a number standpoint. You kind of explained a little bit of this, but maybe talk to us about that 24 unit deal. What you bought it for, like what do the numbers look like? How do they shake out? And how did you know it was a deal that was worth pursuing?
Yeah, so I'll give you the high level bullet points of why boutique hotels, and then I'll dive into the deal specifically. So the boutique hotel space is the next big wave. It is it. And it's the next wave for a handful of reasons. So 5 to 10 years ago, like self-storage was the sexy thing, right? And then everybody flooded into the self-storage space. Boutique hotels, I speculate, are the next wave, and we're already seeing that momentum. And I'm willing to be wrong on what the long-term play looks like, but I speculate that over the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a massive wave of attention going to boutique hotels. The reason is that regulations are tightening up. It's a perfect storm. It's a combination of things. One is regulations are tightening up all across the nation. So in left-leaning states, they tightened up sooner, but they're even tightening up in right-leaning states that typically like they had lighter regulations. So we're seeing a lot of people with sizable short-term rental portfolios who now need to allocate that capital somewhere else and keep the momentum that they built. So you have a lot of people who are very well capitalized and understand the space on a fundamental level, who are giving boutique hotels a lot more attention. The second thing is we're seeing a big shift in guest behavior. So guests used to care much more about price and destination. Now they care much more about unique experiences, which is part of what blew up Airbnbs and the short-term rental space in general. And so people care much more about boutique hotels. Like, people used to care about Applebee's and Chili's. They fucking loved it. Now, like, those places can't pay people to go into their stores, and they're losing business to these one-off boutique shops. They're even big chains that their model is to build boutique restaurants so that people don't know that it's under the same chain. Like, people want a unique experience. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, like I mentioned before, baby boomers are retiring left and right. You have a lot of these tired assets that are simply not run well. Perfect example is the 24 unit that we bought. I'll tell you a story. My wife and I, when we showed up the first night for our due diligence, when we were doing the on-site due diligence, we showed up at 10 o'clock at night. We walked up to the front desk. On the door, there was a sign with a phone number on it in Sharpie. So we called the phone number. We asked about our key. We woke a gentleman up seemingly in the middle of the night. He told us to look around the side of the building. So we walked around the side of the building and we found an envelope with our name on it. We opened up the envelope. Inside was a physical metal key and a hand-drawn map of where our room was. it felt like a scavenger hunt. And scavenger hunts are cool, but not at 10 o'clock at night when you're trying to find your room. So things like that get me so excited because those are just operational improvements. Like that's as simple as updating the locks so that it's keyless entry, and then setting up an automated emailing system where people can automatically check in. That's what we did with the fourplex. So like I had a fourplex and had never been in real estate, set up the fourplex to run more efficiently than this 24 unit boutique hotel in one of the most popular little towns in California. And so something like that right there, right out the gate, just implementing operational improvements added $250,000 to the value of the hotel, which is another reason why I like boutique hotels, is because the value is based on the revenue that's generated. It's not the same as residential where you do all this work. Like we tripled the revenue of the fourplex, but we only added about 30% to the value. And it's like that's insane. So the thing is cash flowing super well, but we should have tripled the value given that we tripled the revenue. So yeah, boutique hotels is just this perfect storm of insane opportunity because the baby boomers that are retiring, they haven't updated the hotel in 20 years. There's a lot of automation that we can put on, a lot of operational improvements that we can add $250,000 to $500,000 in each one of these deals without swinging a single hammer. So the fruit's just low hanging all over the place. It's a sexy thing. There's a wave coming in. And so, yeah, the plan is to buy as many boutique hotels over the next 5 to 8 years as possible, roll them up, sell them to private equity, and then see what's next.
So was this person that you bought the hotel from like hand up looking to sell, or did you go to them and offer them something they couldn't refuse? Like, I'm just curious about where you even find the deals. Is there a loop net for boutique hotels? Like, how does that process work? Or are you going and staying at these places and being like, oh man, this is such an operational failure, I can make so much money, throw the hotel owner an offer?
Yeah, so as you guys know, same on the multifamily side, boutique hotels, it's like finding a needle in the haystack. So it's really about volume, volume, volume. Like my partners and I, we spoke to 600 brokers before finding this deal. We probably underwrote like 350 deals, and that's fast for anybody listening. That's like I created a spreadsheet tracking all this stuff and mapped out that, like, reverse engineering it based on probabilities, that we needed to look at 2,000 deals. And we got it at 350. So like insane numbers there. So yeah, just like numbers. My partners and I, we took over different regions and we were calling everybody from hotel owners to brokers in the area, building like genuine rapport with the brokers because they send it to people they like first. And yeah, my partner stumbled upon this one and yeah, we ended up taking it down.
What is a 24 unit hotel? I know you tripled the value, which is awesome for when you do go to sell. What is a 24 unit hotel that you have optimized cash flow? Like I wouldn't even, and how does that compare in my eyes? I can tell you what I would think a 24 unit apartment complex would, we have an 18 unit. I could look up the numbers on the exact cash flow, but from a hotel, I imagine a cash flow is more, but you tell me, like what do those numbers look like? Roundabout.
Yeah. So it depends on the market. But with this 24 unit hotel, when we bought it, it was doing about 800,000 a year. And once we have it renovated and stabilized, it'll do about 2.1 million a year.
Wow. And that's
Yeah.
net?
No,
Okay.
that's gross. That's
Yeah.
top line. And
Yeah.
then we'll probably be operating, we'll get more efficient as we scale up, but we'll probably be operating around a 50% expense ratio. So
Wow.
we'll probably be netting yeah, just over $1 million. Probably about like $250,000 to 300,000 will go to the debt service. We'll see what refining in a couple years looks like. But yeah, like distributed to our investors, we're probably going to be bringing in, once we're fully stabilized, about 700,000 a year.
Beautiful, man. We love the short-term rental game. And we have some short-term rentals I have one in Tampa, Florida. We have some in the Pocono Mountains. But we also have ownership stake in a really a hotel that we've actually operationally been running on like Airbnb and Verbo. It's a 43 unit. Half of the units are long-term and then the other half are basically used as short-term. We have a partner who's boots on the ground up there, and like it's just such a cool project to turn something. You buy it for I think we bought it for like 4.5 million, 4 million ish. It's probably worth about 6.5 or 7. We probably put $700,000 or $800,000 into it, so we have some equity. Looking to do a refinance. It's just I love the stay and the experience, and I know Rye's all about that. We dabbled in some short term rentals that we own, just the two of us. I love the one I had down in Florida. But the regulation, it's massive. I mean, like we had to, just a quick story and we'll get back to yours. Like we had to sell a property after, we were told by the township that we couldn't have a hot tub on the premises because of setback laws. And it was like something that I realized that they're actually, unless you're in a really, really regulation friendly area, they actually don't really want these. And like the neighbors were complaining and so we were able to sell it for a profit, but once we were dealing with the township and dealing with the regulations, and it's very even like town dependent too. This is in the Pocono Mountains, we had to sell. And I think that boutique hotels, you kind of like, what you're getting into in the sense of, well, these are supposed to be where people are coming and staying and enjoying a vacation. So to me, it sounds like the regulation is virtually not even there at all.
Yeah, 100%. And then even if the regulations are really loose, competition's going to be high. So it's just like it's challenging either way you skin it, right? But with boutique hotels, with that heightened regulation, like they're not allowing any more hotels or any more short-term rentals in that market that we're in. And it's a strong market with strong fundamentals. So we can much more steadily project what our returns over the next 10 years are going to look like.
Yeah, I love this, man. I'm big into the boutique hotel space, and I think it is the wave. There's so many different things we kind of like forecast for and see in the future. I think midterm rentals are going to be a big thing. I think boutique hotel investing is going to be a big thing. And you just see the transition. It's funny because there's like a small niche group of people talking about this now. And then in the next 5 years, you're going to see it everywhere. And that was the same thing with Airbnb. I know we kind of talked about that, but I'm sure a lot of people listening here are thinking about this. They're like, all right, great guys. I love it. It makes a lot of sense to me, but how the heck do I underwrite a boutique hotel? You said you analyzed a ton of different deals. We've gone through this when we analyze multifamily, like it's a more complex Excel file that we go through just to kind of go through, pressure test a bunch of different scenarios and things like that. So I'm curious if you could give somewhat of a dumbed down approach to explain how you analyze these types of deals. So that way people can kind of get an inkling on how the business is run before you kind of take down a deal.
Yeah, so I'd say the fundamentals are very similar to multifamily. It's just a couple different metrics that we look at for the overnight stays. So the fundamentals, of course, it depends on your investment strategy. We are in it for building wealth. So we look at the internal rate of return more so than the cash flow. But of course, there's some people they're focused on the cash flow. It'll also depend on like what your investors are looking for. Some people, they have investors that like they just care about cash flow. We were looking at the internal rate of return. So we were looking at deals with more than 18 to 20%. So 18 was the bare minimum that we'd go for, but we're really going for about 22 to 25% in the internal rate of return. And for anybody who doesn't know, that's similar to like an annualized return, slightly different, but the numbers are roughly the same there. We're also looking for opportunities for adding value, of course. So the opportunities for adding value, there's so much opportunity for adding operational value with these newer hotels because people like the demographic of people staying is different now. So they want contactless entry. They don't want to talk to a single person. And that lets us do things like taking a managerial suite where the managing staff used to stay on site. We can take them out, convert that unit, bring it online. And now we've just added 10 to 15% to the top line revenue, literally just by doing a staff light model. That's not even incorporating like cutting costs or anything like that. The two big numbers that we care about, well, it's three numbers, but the third one is made up of the first two. One is the ADR. So the average daily rate, how much can we charge each night? The second is the occupancy. And then with those two things combined, we can come up with the RevPAR, which is the revenue per available room. And that's basically like on average over the course of the year, how much money does each one of these rooms make you? And so we're constantly looking at where is the property currently in terms of revenue and where can we get it, assuming that we just hit that market average. And then, of course, we design the property to go above that market average. But we underwrite the deal as if we say, okay, we're going to operate this property just as well as anybody else. What do those numbers look like?
Cool, man. Seems like you have a pretty solid why on why you're doing all this. You've had your parents and your wife go through these health scares that will shape anyone's thought process and their why behind what they're doing. And then you also started a podcast called The Hunt for Incredible. So I am curious about like what you're seeking. And it seems like the vision here is to create this level of freedom so that if you're not there, your family can be well off. And I think that's beautiful. I have talk to me about the hunt for incredible and maybe like the vision behind that. It sounds like it's bigger than real estate, bigger than boutique hotels. It's just like more of like a way of life. So how did you get to that? And, why did you start that podcast?
Yeah. So I started the podcast to talk to great people like you guys. And it was really focused on understanding what enables people to do incredible things, which has just been a forever obsession of mine. Like before real estate, before anything else, I'm obsessed with like how do ultra marathon runners run 500 miles over a couple of days? Like what inside of them makes them tick and enables them to do that? Like when I was struggling with my family's health, I read books like Man's Search for Meaning, which is a psychologist who went through Auschwitz and survived World War II concentration camps, and his disposition of like how despite the mental degradation he was able to push through. And it's like there are these sparks inside of people that spring up and compel them and enable them to do these incredible things. And because I'm forever obsessed with that, I wanted to start a podcast that was focused on that, because I want a podcast that grows with me. So I was like, what is the most fundamental thing about me that I'm interested in that I can pursue and share with the world? So with the podcast, I have two reasons why I do it. One is a selfish one. The other is a selfless one. The selfless reason is I want to capture conversations and enable people to do things that they couldn't have done otherwise. So like pushing them over the edge into like, hey, you have a thing that you want to do, just fucking do it. But then like, how do you do it? But mostly just fucking do it. Even if you don't know how to do it, go do it. And it can be kind of scary sometimes, because I've had listeners reach out to me and say, hey, I quit my W-2 to start my own company. And I was like, yo, that's quite a bit of like responsibility that I feel now, because I need to be mindful of that. But just like supporting people and saying like, yeah, just go fucking do the thing. And these are people who did the thing and how they did it. The selfish reason is I just love chatting with people who are doing interesting things and who are inspiring others and who inspire me, and just like learning from them and listening to their story and really just like digging in to find that spark. Like what the fuck is inside you and inside me that's driving you to do these things? So I'd say that's my big why behind the podcast, is just I want to build cool shit with cool people, and the podcast is the needle that threads all of those.
Have you ever read The Obstacle is the Way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have.
I'm reading that right now. And Rye, I don't know if I was the lucky one to receive this, but it was actually sent to us by our coach in the mentorship that we're in. It's a small blue book, and I don't know if I think we just got one copy, but I'll give it to you after. And it's basically like 100 stories about perseverance. And like, you kind of get woo-woo, you think, but then you read this and you're like, it's similar to the hunt for incredible. Like, how do people navigate this world of uncertainty with so much conviction, really? And like, I've learned so much from just exactly what you said, just doing the thing. Like, I left my full-time job to pursue our real estate and our coaching business in August, September. And I was so not ready, like not even close to being ready, and I'm like, Ryan and I are managing where I'm full-time and he's still working his job, and he has a family and I don't, or at least I have a family, but he has a wife and a child. So like, there's a little bit of a balance there. And I think that I was talking to him the other day to be candid about this. And I'm like, dude, we're going to grow so much faster when you take the plunge too. And I'm not pushing him like live on the air through this podcast, but I realized like this freeing thing of being like, I'm all in on this. And there are X amount of people that I know, Gideon or whoever, that are like teetering the line of doing things full time and still consulting, but then have made the jump. And why did they do it? There's so many case studies of people that have done it. And I feel like a book like that and just talking to people and surrounding yourself with other high performing people, it makes it a lot easier. And the only way to do that really is to get in those rooms and provide the value and create genuine connections with those people. And they want to share their life with you. And then you have somebody to call for every problem that you've ever had. And I find it like, I'm just so glad I made that decision. I think for you, man, like I have no doubt you're going to get to every goal that you set out to achieve. It's just it's so evident. And that's really my next question is like, mention $1 million. I don't know if you meant like $1 million a year coming in passively, or maybe you could clarify, but like, where do you want to get to? I mean, I don't know how old you are. I imagine you're in your early 30s. That's my guess. We're 33. I'm 33. Rise 34. So like, what does 40 look like for you? Like, where do you want to go in the next few years?
Dude, my focus has shifted a lot. Now I'm dialed in on building cool shit with incredible people, and that's it. Like I want to create interesting things, whether it's tech, whether it's real estate, anything else. um that's what I want to do. Like I took a few months off. My wife and I, we went over to Europe for 4 months, which for anybody listening, it sounds romantic. 4 months is way too long to to be like relaxed. I was getting really antsy really quickly.
That would take
But
like
yeah,
4 days for me, by the way. So you did
yeah,
good.
yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, I think my sweet spot might be like 2 weeks. And I was still working over there and stuff, but just like being in it and the grind and with people and like hustling is where my happy place is. But yeah, so I spent a lot of time thinking about what's next for me, and have come to the conclusion that it's not a destination, it's a mode of operating. So right now I'm focused on working with people who are interesting, who are badasses, and building cool shit with them. And I've turned down some really, really interesting deals because it either just wasn't a deal that I was interested in, just like purely on like a would this get me excited, or because it wasn't with people that I was interested in. And so that's where I am right now, is just like I want to enjoy this like mode of operating instead of killing myself for money and then I'm old. Like there isn't a single billionaire in the world who wouldn't trade me for like my life and health right now. I'm 33 years old. There isn't a single like 70-year-old billionaire who wouldn't give all of that up for what I have right now. Like what I have right now is the gold, it is the value. And so like losing sight of where I am right now in the process in exchange for some amount of wealth in the future that I would give all away to be where I am right now just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. So that's where I am in terms of getting the specifics down. Over the next couple of years, I'm going to buy a landscape hotel, possibly a micro resort, for a couple of reasons. One is the return on those is like stupid. Like you can charge $700 a night for a property that cost you $200 or 200 grand per door. And it's like you can literally get the return on all your capital within a few years, and it has insane views, and it can go viral, and it's just like a cool trophy piece. So that's a big one that I'm dialed in on right now. But yeah, man, it's more just like a way of living more so than an actual goal.
Dude, I love that answer, truly. And I think I just wanted to chime in here too about the podcast. I absolutely love the title, and I love the curiosity you have for finding people's spark. And truly, that's how I feel too. I love the idea of looking at someone walking down the street and just, I want to know how they reach their level of success, dude. I'm so naturally curious. I've mentioned this on a couple of podcasts before, but as I was growing up, I just always wanted to see the little speech bubble pop up above someone's head and be
Yeah.
like, what's their net worth, dude? And then I'll beeline it to you and sit down with you for a week and just figure out how you did it. Because I think people are so interesting, man. And everyone has overcome something in their life, right? Like there's no perfect story. And I think a lot of times the more successful you are, you've been through more shit. And I think it's just a testament and proof that to you, right? You know, not everyone knows what happens behind closed doors. And it's so interesting to when I look at someone and they're like, you could tell they're battle tested, dude. And you're like, they walk into a room, they command it, and they don't care what other people think. They're just floating on their own spectrum, if you will. Right. And I just love that. And I think as we get older, maybe it is this like sweet spot of 33, dude, and 34. I think a year older than you guys, but I've evolved in the last couple of years, maybe through all these conversations too, and just going through life. And I don't attribute it just to having kids because, you know, we have, or having setbacks, but I just think we're more seasoned in life and we've seen things now. And I didn't get it back in the day. Now I get it. And we just like, you just got to keep fighting the fight every single day and getting through. And I think the thing that separates all of us and people that we've had on our shows is you just don't stop and you pivot, right? And you're going to take steps back as long as you take 2 steps forward. And this thing is it's a never ending game, right? There's no success summit, if you will, right? Because when you get to the top of one, there's always another mountain to climb. And so I just love how you've changed your perception of the world, and you're most happy now when you are doing the things on a daily basis that get you fired up, right? And you're not like a slave to the dollar. I think about this all the time. I'm like, man, you know, you reach the like, at some point you reach this level of like, I've mastered my skill sets right now, and I'm just kind of coasting and going through the motions. And that's what kind of forced us to start the podcast, to get into real estate. It's like, there's something more to life, man. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And fortunate enough for us, we started at a young-ish age where we have a big timeline to go attack what we want to do. And now it's just playing that daily battle of hedging your bet a little bit. You need some cash to be able to fund your lifestyle, but fund that dream, if you will, too. And so we're teetering back and forth all the time, and I love it, man. So I'm just glad we got to chat with you on the show today, because we're very like-minded, all three of us. And I think we're just like, it feels like we have the singular brain thing going on here. We're all on the same vision, and I love it, dude. So you fired me up. I do want to ask you this. A lot of people that are probably listening to the show, they're like, man, this guy's awesome. I love the idea of boutique hotels. How can they get in touch with you and find you on a daily basis? Maybe network, maybe listen to the podcast. Just give us all the ways people can find you.
Yeah. So the podcast is The Hunt for Incredible. You can find it wherever it's streaming. You can also find me on Instagram at Gideon Spencer _. So it's my first and last name _. That's GIDEON SPENCER _. And you can also shoot me an email. I haven't given my email out on many of these podcasts, but I'll throw it out to you guys because I'm sure your followers are awesome like y'all, which is my first name, Gideon, GIDEON, at StoneMontCap, StoneMontCap.com. My capital group is Stonemont Capital. So that's my stuff. And yeah, shoot me an email or a DM or whatever if you want to just chat, catch up. If you find a deal, you want to do a deal, then yeah, always happy to.
Last question. I know I just, because of how well this conversation went, and I want to ask it to you because I think you're going to have an insightful answer. Let's just say, you mentioned you're 33. I always think about my 18-year-old self, going back to that time period of like, what do I wish I knew that I know now? What advice would you give your 18-year-old self if you had a chance to talk to him for 10 minutes?
Build in public. I wouldn't even need the full 10 minutes. I could take 60 seconds and then just hang out and shoot the shit for the remaining 9. Build in public. That's it. Like when I was in my early to mid 20s, I built a tech company, returned $250,000 within the first year, just releasing the proof of concept. Did the same thing I've been talking about. I found an expert who'd done the thing I was trying to do. I sold them on my idea vision, pulled them on board, built this amazing product. But I did it with the hustle and grind culture mentality of like just hitting the pavement, grinding. My partner was building the code. I was doing like the business development, talking to businesses to sell a product and everything. And the product was highly successful for what it was. But I think it pales in comparison to what it would have been if I had built in public. Like people think that they need to accomplish a thing before they share their story, but people are less interested in those stories in general. Like I was posting content as I was looking for a hotel deal, but I wasn't sharing my story. I was doing the stupid posts that are like, oh, these are 3 steps to buy a hotel, whatever. I wish I had shared my story and been like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm completely lost. And this is what I'm doing to figure it out. Come figure it out with me. Like, oh, I just found a deal. I don't know if it's good or not. I found out it wasn't good. So I'm going to move on. Oh, I reached out to this person. I went to this event. I connected with these people. This is my strategy. This is what I'm trying to do. And let people see the messiness and just fucking go do the thing. Like everybody listening right now has that thing that's been sitting in the back of their mind for the last 6 to 18 months or their whole lives that they've always wanted to do. And they always come up with the reasons as to why they don't do it, or they come up with like these little stepping stones of things they have to do first. Like I talk to people all the time. I have free coaching calls. I'm wrapping them up here at the end of the month, the end of March, depending on when people are listening. And so often people say like, oh yeah, I have short-term rentals and I just want a couple more before I buy a boutique hotel. And I always ask like, why? Just like go for the fucking thing that you want to do and then document your journey and share it with everybody. And other people will want to help you in getting to your goal. So just like beeline it to that thing, cut out the bullshit, like the bullshit of, oh, I need one more property or I need to do this. That's all just like procrastination is fear to move forward. And you're just coming up with things to fill your time. That's wasting your time. Just go for the fucking thing and do it in public. That's it. That's what I tell myself.
Build in public. I love that. You kind of actually gave me confidence, and I already knew this, but like what we did in the beginning was the thing we should have done. We started our podcast, our podcast about building wealth. We had 3 properties, and they were single family in a duplex.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, hopefully people like to follow along in the journey. And we teach our students now, our mentees, if you will, that you should be documenting your journey. You should be talking about it. There are people that are going to learn exactly from the step you're at. If you're looking for a property, you're going to help someone that doesn't even know they should be looking for a property, even if you're at that beginning stage. So, I mean, dude, it's just like, it's perfect. So Gideon, this has been great, man. I really appreciate your time. It's good to get to know you. It's a long time coming. We have, again, we're in similar circles, and I'm glad to put a face to a name. So we appreciate you coming on, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch and seeing what's next for you.
Yeah, 100%. I'll have to have you guys on my podcast too. It'd be a good time.
Would love to, dude.